Hey Grade 4s, I thought I'd intro this week's art activity from my staircase because I think it is so connected to what you are doing in art right now when it comes to creating drawings with a sense of depth and dimension and this illusion that you can create in lots of different ways. There are 3 things we want you to focus on as you keep progressing in this activity. Number 1, improving your observation skills. Really going further when it comes to accuracy or being really observant about the details and things that you can do to improve your artwork. Number 2 is all about becoming more independent in the creative process. You make the choices about what you're going to focus on to create an absolutely outstanding artwork that gets a reaction from an audience. And that's the 3rd thing. How are you going to either improve on what you've done already, that you've been practicing and developing, and really create a polished, finished artwork based on? Or how are you going to find inspiration by what your classmates have created and take your skills further? So let's get started. Click on the link in this activity to go to the Padlet where all of your artwork has been shared. Look at the ones that got the best reaction and think about why that was. Then decide what you're going to do. Here's an example of just neatening things up. This is Ahil's artwork, and I basically kept the exact same composition and just got a ruler to use as a tool to neaten things up and make it more accurate, and then added color. I used an oil pastel, but again, you could use any material that you have available to you, including just a pencil and shading. Be sure to fill in all of the background space though to really pop out. I used complementary colors here. Then Arjun's really stood out to me as well with that optical illusion look to it. And so I, again, got a ruler and increased the accuracy by measuring, just like you learned to do when we did the grids earlier in the year. And rather than it just having that visual illusion, I simply added a vanishing point and used those principles of 3 dimensions to really make it pop out of the page. Then, just using a pencil, I filled in the spaces really evenly and carefully. Then I got a ruler and went over all of the edges to sharpen them up and again add an element of neatness to it, because that was one of the things that you said really makes an artwork stand out. I erased some of the guidelines and then added in an extra line that just gives an illusion that makes you wonder what's happening with it. And then again, fill in all of the background space. Again, I used an oil pastel first, and then I got my watercolor paints and I just went over it with a layer of blue paint to give it a more finished appearance. So there are 2 examples of taking what you did last week and just going further with it and really making it stand out to get a reaction. You might have reflected on your artwork though, like Alexio did. He finished his and said that his main focus was to get a reaction by doing these really funky doorways. So what you might do is just look at one area of your artwork and try to add even more dimension and interest to it. So you could play around with just the doorways, for example, and take things further, building on what you've done already. If, like Clara and many others, you created an artwork that ticked all the boxes, then look again at all the artwork by your classmates and get some inspiration to take your knowledge and skills even further with 3D drawing. Then take a really careful photograph of your artwork that really shows it off to post to Seesaw. And on page 2 of the template, you'll find this checklist to just go through and see what was your focus and how do you think you did in those different areas.